Hello, today we're going to be comparing and contrasting the Xbox One and PS4 based on what we know before and after E3. So let's go. Um, Both of them are going to be running an 8-core AMD Jaguar APU. So they both have the same APU in them, except for the fact that the PS1 is going to be clocked at 1.6 gigahertz and the PS4 is going to be clocked at 2.0 gigahertz. So what this means is that the PS4 is going to run faster. It's going to have more cycles per second. It's going to be able to process information faster, and it's just going to run things a little bit smoother. Um, you know, and this is going to be a disadvantage for the Xbox One. They're not going to be running things quite as fast, which I thought they would be based on what we're going to learn later about the software in these things. But both of them are pretty impressive. They're both pretty good. PS4 kind of has not really too big of a lead in this, but it definitely has a lead in other things. But if you're not familiar with an APU, what that means is an accelerated processing unit, which is a GPU and a CPU combined. In a sense, it takes care of all of CPU needs and some of the GPU needs in terms of processing. Going on to RAM or memory, both of them are going to have 8 gigabytes of RAM. But except for the difference is the Xbox One is going to have DDR3 RAM and PS4 is going to have GDDR5 RAM. And what this means is DDR3 RAM is focused towards the CPU in the sense that it processes things really snappy, really fast. It can go through a lot of tasks quickly. But GDDR5 RAM can process a whole lot at once. It's like, and that's really good for gaming, or towards the GPU, which is used for gaming, because the GPU does a lot. I shouldn't say does a lot more than the CPU, because the CPU does a lot, but the GPU has a lot more information running through it in terms of gaming. So when you're gaming, we're playing Black Ops 2 in the background here. I'm shooting the gun, I'm pulling the trigger, other people are moving around me. The graphics processing has to do all this at once, all the bullet holes, everything, all the damage. It's doing so much at once, the GPU, and so much information is going through this RAM, because, this isn't permanent memory. This all isn't being saved to my hard drive. So, we need something to hold the place, and a lot of this information needs to move through it quickly. GDDR5 RAM is what you need. It's a thing to have for gaming. But Xbox One has this thing. It's 8 megabytes. Megabytes not being a gigabyte. Not 8, sorry, 32 megabytes. God, of this special RAM. I guess it's all dedicated towards graphics. GDDR5 RAM, as good as it is at graphics, or passing memory through for graphics, it also has to take care of CPU memory. But this 32 megabytes on the Xbox One gives it that little advantage, not advantage, but that push to keep it in competition with the PS4, which is great. So in RAM, in just the raw, the regular RAM, looks like PS4 is looking better, even with the 32 megabytes that Xbox One or Microsoft is putting on this thing. PS4 looks better in RAM right now. Going on to graphics, Xbox One did not release their graphics at E3 or their initial press conference, which I am very shocked about. I was really looking forward to learning about that, especially after learning what PS4's is. But whatever. PS4 has a graphics GPU kind of thing. It's not really a GPU, but anyways, not getting into that. 1.4. It's clocked at 1.4 teraflops. Which if you don't know what that is, because I don't really, but I looked it up, and it's very similar to an AMD Radeon HG 7850 gigahertz edition graphics card, which I am familiar with. Also, I'm even more familiar with the NVIDIA GeForce GTX 660, which has a clock rate, or teraflops at 1.81 teraflops, so that's really, really close to what it's going to be in the PS4. The reason I know so much about the GTX 660 is because what I'm running in my computer right now. It's a great card, it's definitely not the most powerful thing out there by far, but if you want to put it in terms of gigabytes, the GTX 660 is a 2 gigabyte card, so there's that. But there's been rumors about the Xbox One and its graphics capabilities. They're saying I've heard two rumors so far. One that's really not so stable is that it's going to have zero point 0.8 teraflops or 800 gigaflops, which I'm not buying because that's way too low and way out of the PS4 would blow it out of the water if it was at 8 teraflops. So I didn't think that was too stable. The website was kind of sketchy, you know. The one that I trust more is that it's clocked at 1.2 teraflops, which is similar to the AMD Radeon 7770, which you can look up. It's a 1 gigabyte card, I believe. My friend says he has it. It's a great card. You know, it's a good beginner card for a PC if you're really not into hardcore gaming. But that's up to you. Um, Going on to what's going to be software. PS4 is just going to have the PlayStation operating system like it always does. Well, I shouldn't say always does. It's going to have a brand new operating system based for made for the PS4. But it's going to be good. Going to be good for gaming. But Xbox One has a huge advantage in its software, where it's running Windows 8, a version of Windows 8. It's running Xbox One operating system, and it's running a third operating system to combine the two that I just named. So it's running three at once, but it's really only running one at one time. You know what I'm saying? So I'm guessing it's going to always run the third operating system that bridges the two together, so that it's easy to swap between the two. That makes more sense. Or it's going to be running the third one that I named most of the time. Which gives it a really big advantage in terms of developers. Developers obviously develop games on a computer. You can't go on an Xbox and type in code in lines on an Xbox unless you do some crazy stuff to the Xbox. But they develop these things on computers, and since Xbox One is going to have a version of Windows 8 on it, what all that means is for developers, they make it on the PC, they change some lines of code. If this is going to be a multi-platform game, they change some lines of code, they put it on the Xbox One. Bing bang boom, it's done. That's it. That's all they need to do. But for PS4, they're gonna have to port it, and which means they have to take the code, they have to alter it a little bit more, and then they have to do this put it through a weird system, and then you have your game on your PS4. Which what this means is that it's not gonna run as smoothly on the PS4. That's only for multi-platform games. For exclusives, that means everything like exclusives for PS4. That means it's all made for PS4. There's no porting. It's specifically designed for the PS4. It's going to run great on it. But for porting, it's just not going to run as smooth. And when I say that, it's a very small difference, and you're never going to notice it. So it's not really that big of a disadvantage. But in terms of operating systems, Xbox One definitely wins here. And this is what I meant earlier when I said the APU. I was surprised that the APU wasn't clocked faster for the Xbox One than it was for the PS4. Was because it's running three operating systems, and that's going to need a lot of processing power. But whatever, it still runs great. You saw at the release conference, the whole TV thing. It kept switching to the TV. I know I was pretty annoyed that I didn't see more gameplay from other games, but that's just me. But you saw how fast it swapped between the Xbox and the Windows 8 operating systems. That was just like click of a button, it was there. But then let's get to the prices of these things. Xbox One is priced at $499, and PS4 is priced at $399. So basically $500 and $400. Now, Xbox One, as you may know, comes with the Kinect 2.0. I don't use the Kinect personally. I don't have any use for it. I don't have enough room in my area that I game in order to use the Kinect. So I just don't use it. Period. Has no use to me. Don't. I've played it over my friend's house. I'm sure the Kinect 2.0 will be much better. I never had much fun with it. But it looked really cool at the conference. I'm not gonna lie. But for an extra $100 to get it, something that I'm not gonna use, so they don't have the room for, it's kind of a downer for me. I don't really need it, so why should I want it? But whatever. PS4 definitely $100 cheaper because it doesn't come with that Kinect. But I'm not really using the Kinect, so that gives me $100 cheaper in price for something that looks like, in terms of hardware, it's gonna be a lot more powerful. So that's just my opinion. I guess time will tell which one's actually powerful when we get some benchmarks on these things. But let's go on to what we learned at E3, because basically everything I just said we learned beforehand. except for the prices. Prices will learn at E3. Also, you can pre-order your Xbox One right now. I'm pretty sure if you go on GameStop.com or you go to Microsoft.com and go to or Xbox.com, however you want to navigate there, and you can pre-order your Xbox One. It's a special edition. All it says is Day One 2013 on the controller. Might have something cool on the console. I don't know. It didn't look too great, but didn't look too special. It looks. I like the look of both of them. People kind of complain about how they're both just boxes. Honestly, these things are really small computers, basically. Like all these parts I'm naming are you can put this into a computer and make your own Xbox One. Like not literally because you don't have the operating systems, but it's really really cool what's in these things. How it's just so similar to a computer, and it kind of has to be a bigger, bulkier box because you think about what's in it, and it's basically like running a computer on a console. Which, if they wanted to make these things really small, the iBuy Power Revolt is a really small desktop computer. If you want to check that out, it's kind of cool. It's a cool little computer. It kind of looks like a gaming console. But anyways, not going into that. Let's go on to what we learned at E3. There will be no used games on the Xbox One, which personally I have no problem with. I buy all my games new. That's just because I'm kind of a hardcore gamer and I like my things on day of release. It's not that I don't like used games. I bought Grand Theft Auto 4 like last week. That's obviously used. But I just normally don't buy used games, so it's not that big of a deal for me. But that's a huge deal for a lot of people, and I know that. And it's just like, it's kind of, Microsoft, you shot yourself in your leg, There's no used games anymore for the Xbox One. And Xbox One also, you need to sign on to Xbox Live every 24 hours. So that made me think when I first heard this rumor, and now it's confirmed, that, Xbox One, free internet, not free internet, but free online service. But no, you still have to pay the $60 a year or the $10 a month, whatever you choose to do, or what is it, like $30 every 3 months or $20 every 3 months? I don't know. I always get the year, so it turns out to be $6 a month. And yeah, a PS4, you can trade games. You can share games with your friends. You can borrow a game, whatever. It's awesome. But, with Xbox One, you borrow a game from your friend, plug it in your Xbox One, or pop it in your Xbox One, and you can't use that game. You can, but you have to pay a fee. You have to, I think you have to pay full price for the game, basically, to play your friend's game that he let you borrow. PS4, you can just give your friend a game, he can play it right away. It's awesome. And you don't have to be online every 24 hours with the PS4. But a drawback, not really a drawback, but for PlayStation fans, PS4 is now going to have a paid online service. It's going to be $5 a month, which isn't that bad. It's technically cheaper than the Xbox One. And what this really means, you should be happy that there's a paid online service, because what this means is that they're gonna raise more money for you guys to get more exclusives or faster content. Like how Call of Duty always has content a month earlier on the Xbox than the PS4. Well, maybe because you're paying $5 a month, they're gonna get the money, and you're now gonna get content a month earlier than the PS1. Or than the Xbox One. Sorry, God. But yeah, so that's basically all we learned from everything, from E3, from before E3, and then when they did those initial press conferences. Except for, I didn't name any games, like exclusives. So on the Xbox One, these both aren't exclusives, by the way, but they have exclusive content. But Xbox One, exclusive content for the Division, which looked really cool at the press conference. It's by Ubisoft, and it's really an awesome game. It's like a post-apocalyptic game. You're traveling along, you go with your friends. It's awesome. I really want to get that. But so it's also going to be on the PS4. I'm not sure which console I'm getting yet, so I don't know. PS4, though, I'm a huge Bungie fan. Bungie is developing a game with PS4, or Sony, I guess. It's actually Bungie and Activision, so this game's going to be awesome. And it's, they're doing their thing, and it's an MMO type game. Looks kind of like Borderlands, but a lot cooler. And it has exclusive content on PS4, but it's coming out for Xbox 360, Xbox One, PS4, and PlayStation 3. So this thing is going to be awesome. I'm not sure if the online service is going to be cross-platform or not, but I guess we'll just see. So that's all I have to cover, and have a nice day.